Back here with Sarah Kustok, and we're going viral. Dwight Howard, man, he's having a resurgence in his second stint as a Laker, averaging 2.1 blocks per game, his most since 2013. And he's not satisfied. After last night's win over the Bulls, this video surfaced of Dwight working out. Now he's my guy. What a turn of events for Dwight Howard. There you go, Dwight. Make L's, though. I want L's with those arms.
I'm incredibly happy for what this season could mean for Dwight. Dwight is a player who is, right now, he is historically the most underrated guy of the current crop of players by fans. This is a guy who, for a 4-year stretch, was top 5 MVP all 4 years, won 3 Defensive Players of the Year award, took his team to the NBA Finals, beating a 60-win LeBron James-led team in a series when all LeBron did was give you 39, 8, and 8. Dwight's team won in 6. And now people act like he's trash, and that that because it all went downhill from the Lakers
Recency bias. So you always say this.
And so he doesn't have to be great, but he can defend and rebound. And if he's part of a champion, it totally changes the narrative on his career.
And fill your role. It's a certain set of circumstances where he's fit in perfectly. He's bought in. You can see the attitude, and I love it. I do always, though, have to double check how lean he is, and with the hair.
The hair.
Sometimes I watch him on the floor and I'm like,
question mark. I'm not on board.
You're
with
not
that
into
one.
it? You're not into blondes?
Not really.
Well, here's the thing. He's trying to be like the older, more mature Dwight, and he is in all aspects, but he's got like almost the Sideshow Bob hair going, so it kind of goes against the narrative, but he's been great. He's been a great teammate, and he's been one of the Lakers' best bench players.
All right. Alongside Dwight Howard, we're talking Kyrie Irving. Did you like that transition? The team you cover, Sarah, day in and day out. We've been treated to some star-studded performances by Kyrie Irving, the Nets superstar, 222 points this year. That is second most in a player's first 7 games with a new team in NBA history. Why? First most? Will Chamberlain. It's not bad company for Kyrie. Sarah, you're with this team every day. How impressive has Kyrie been this year?
It's been so much fun to watch, and I think it's a certain level of a player that you're accustomed to the numbers they put up. You see the highlights, you're watching the games in and out, but you don't truly appreciate the player that they are. When you look at the number, it's not just the points, too, because it's about he's averaging close to 8 assists per game. He's at about 6 rebounds per game.
The rebounds is impressive.
And he has been getting after it. And you say that on the glass, he's been really active. He's been much more active and engaged on defense. And the way in which he's done it throughout the flow of the offense. And so I think you look at these numbers and it's like, oh, he must just be putting up a ton of shots and have a sky-high usage rate. It's not been that way. He's been highly efficient from the field. He can hit a 3 from anywhere. He can get to the basket. I think more than anything, and we always see it, the highlight reel type handles that he brings to the table. But how he's able to manipulate a defense. It is not translated probably to the extent that they want in wins to this point, but I wouldn't put that on Kyrie. He's also had some timely baskets. So he's really been a tremendous asset to a team that's continuing to still look to build some chemistry.
Well, Kyrie wanted to go somewhere where he would feel the love, and Brooklyn was a team where the players and the organization were actively recruiting him during the season and the offseason. And so you look at this situation, this is everything that Kyrie Irving was looking for. You know, coming off of a year where he got a lot of criticism in Boston. People didn't understand why that team didn't live up to expectations. That team pushing a LeBron James-led Cavs team the year before with no Kyrie, with no Gordon Hayward to Game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals. People couldn't figure out why that Boston Celtics team couldn't take that next step and why it looked like they regressed, and Kyrie bore the brunt of that criticism. But now in Brooklyn, it hasn't been that at all. So I think a lot of it has to do with the expectations coming into this year, because even though Brooklyn had an awesome offseason where they got Kyrie and KD, everybody realized that KD is going to be dealing with the Achilles and that you probably weren't going to see him the upcoming NBA season. But that provided Kyrie with the opportunity to come into this year with relatively low expectations in comparison to the organization that he just left. So he can just go out there and play basketball. And to me, it looks like a more relaxed Kyrie Irving out there. And the one other difference that I would say in the situation this year with Kyrie as opposed to Boston, this is a more veteran team than the group that was up there in Boston. I think that the Nets are secure in their identity and what Kenny Atkinson and Sean Marks have been building for several years now. So I just feel like this is a better situation for Kyrie, a lot less noise. He can go out there and play basketball.
Too many guys in Boston, and I don't begrudge them this, were playing for their second contract, and that's the riskiest thing in the NBA. Terry Rozier had never been paid. Jaylen Brown had never been paid. Al Horford was a pending free agent, even though Al is the consummate pro. Tatum had never been paid, and so all those guys who had thrived when Kyrie was on the shelf, when he was hurt his first year in Boston, at the end, it's the chemistry never fit, and Kyrie is a different cat. And I don't say that in a negative way. He just is. Listen, some people say I'm a different cat. Like they're not the same way Kyrie is, but there are some things that go along with Kyrie that not everyone is going to thrive with, and not everyone wants to sign up for. And I know some people can say, oh, the Nets, they were one of the fun up-and-coming teams. Now they're 3-4 this year. Two things are unfair about that. One is, first week of the season, they had the game in Kyrie's hand to win it twice and just missed. Like now, in the game in the middle of that, he actually had the game in his hand and made. But the first game of the year, he did a little slip and slide maneuver and missed the jump shot. Second game was when Ja Morant blocks him and they end up losing overtime. They could easily this year be 5-2 instead of 3-4. But the other thing for the Nets is they have a gaping hole at forward on their roster. Now, you know who's going to step into that hole is Kevin Durant. Yeah. But this is, and I'm not trying to put you in a weird spot, but they built this team believing, well, when KD's here, not only are we not going to have a hole at forward, we might have the best player in the league, some would argue, in that spot. But in the meantime, they've got a bunch of competent NBA centers, maybe a surplus of competent guards, and they're figuring out the front court spots, which in a league where all the best guys are front court players, it feels like, that's a tough spot to be weak. But 31, 32, 6, and 8 is unimpeachable, and he's doing it on high efficiency. So I was a critic of Kyrie last year to a degree because I felt like it wasn't going to work in Boston, and that was proven out to be true. I think it's unfair to criticize him based on the Nets being a game under 500 through 2 weeks this season.
Okay, let me just be a little Debbie Downer here. With those 32 points come the rumors of mood swings, of sometimes he's got some personality issues, sometimes butt heads with management in some way. How does that factor in, and how concerning is that for the team?
And I respect these questions, or I respect the things that people talk about, from what happened in Boston, what happened in Cleveland. I'm there every day. I'm there at practice. I sit through the open gyms. You're there at games. You talk to the teammates. You know the players, many of them who you've known for many years, and there's been no issues. And that's not to say we've all been through the course of an NBA season, the highs and lows. You're traveling with people, you're around people, things come up and things happen. But to this point, and I know that had stemmed from Jackie McMullen I respect more than anyone on the planet. I don't think that was the purpose of her article. And sometimes we pull one thing out of there, and that's where the mood swings had come up from. I think anytime a guy comes to a new situation and he's still relatively young in his career, 27 years, a fresh slate, and it's a different group. And as Nick said, it's a different set of personalities on this Nets group, which have embraced Kyrie. Kyrie has embraced them. He has got a high level of compete. He is intense, and he brings a whole nother level of a mentality of trying to win a championship to a group. However, I think that's been something that's been a very positive for this team.
And I want to add one other thing. The Nets last year were a really successful indie film where they had no stars, where they had everyone that was just trying to prove themselves, all it is. They are now a set where Christian Bale or Russell Crowe or Scarlett Johansson walks onto it. And guess what? Those people get a little special treatment. Those people are a little different than the others. And maybe for some people it's jarring because, oh, we had all this great everything going. Yeah, but you had a defined ceiling. To get in, there's not a lot of Tim Duncans. There's not a lot of people, continue the analogy, not a lot of Keanu Reeves. A-list superstar with no ego whatsoever. It's like just wants to be one of the guys. So and again, I've been someone that's been critical of Kyrie Irving. You know this is the deal with the most famous people in the world, of which Kyrie is one. I don't think that has to do with the Nets being, to this point in the season, slightly below expectations record-wise.
All right, Sarah, thanks for hanging out today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. It's great to see you.